Hello, welcome to the Gin and Tonic Show. It is Friday. It's the 20th of September. You're listening to the Gin and Tonic Show. And today I'm going to switch things around. I am not going to first do the introduction and then go to the panel. I'm going to go to the panel first because we have Faye with us. Actually,
Yay!
no,
Hi.
I'm sorry. I got that wrong. I got that wrong. Let me here. Faye, the most gracious, mid-God's finest.
Oh,
Then
thank
we have
you.
Thunderous, then we have me, and then later on we're going to have Rob. He's going to join us in a bit. He's still out there working. Hello, guys. How's your week been? Faye, ladies first. What have you been up to except hiding your chest again?
I have the flu. I've been coughing like I smoked an entire pack of cigarettes in the last hour, and it's so unfair because I don't smoke at all. I feel like the thing is, I never used to get the flu while I was like truly suffering. I never used to get the flu. My immune system was off the charts, but as soon as I'm comfortable, I've gotten the flu like 4 times this year. This must be a sign of privilege. It truly must be because I don't understand why I'm getting sick so much. But I have the flu this week, and it's been shit because I need money, and I haven't been able to go into work.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's bad. So
Yeah.
what we need to do is we need to get you off balance so that your immune system comes back on, and then everything will be okay. Is that what you're insinuating now?
I need to go back into survival mode. I need to have someone abuse me constantly, apparently, so the immune system kicks up.
Ali Dawa, where are you when we need you? Okay. Thunderous, what about you? How's the week been?
Well, last year I was made redundant, so I managed to find myself some temporary work in a bank, which has gone so well to the point that they offered me a permanent contract. So I've taken the last month off. I start next week in the vain hope that in the past couple of weeks I'll get some DIY done. Suffice to say, I've got no DIY done.
Oh,
So,
shit.
well, it's my fault. I've procrastinated, and now time's catching up with me, so I'll have no time to do it. So I've been doing nothing but enjoying the weather, going for long walks with my headphones on, and yeah, just chilling out, having a good time, watching a lot of Yasakadi, funnily enough, in my spare time. So yeah, all good, all good at the moment. Thanks for asking.
Okay, while you're on that topic, what Thunderous has kindly suggested or offered is input in not the next one, but the one after this. So in 2 Fridays from now, a short introduction to the Gog and Magog, or Majud, or whatever, how they differ between Jewish Gogs and the Quranic or Islamic Gogs, and what they have in common, and how somebody like Yasser Hadi says that this is a crucial and highly contentious issue, where if any Muslim were to ignore chapter 5:101 and ask questions about this, they would definitely come up with some doubts. So what we're going to do in 2 weeks is Thunderous is going to give us some input into that. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, guys, then what I would like to do before we go back to the boring Quran, because we've got Faye here, and
Hey.
she knows a little bit of what the Quran says. And so what we're going to do is 2 things. First of all, we're going to watch a little bit of a what you would call it, a little bit of a excerpt from a video that Ali Dawa put up. Okay, so Ali Dawa interviewed you, or you went up to him, or whatever the case may be, and the result is actually is amazingly hilarious, I think, actually.
Can I tell the story? So
Okay.
it was Eid day. It was Eid al-Adha, We had gone to an inclusive mosque initiative, which was awful. It was the worst idea ever for me. But after that, we had gone to Speaker's Corner, and I had initially made the intention that I was not going to talk to anyone. We only went to Speaker's Corner because Armin Navabi really, really wanted to go. And I was with him when we entered. Everyone else had gone to get booze because I had suggested that idea because I could not stand being there without being drunk. But myself and Armin had gone in together, and the first thing that I had said to him was, if there was a hell, this is what it would look like. And he turned to me and he said, no, if there was a heaven, this is what it would look like. And I told him we are very different people. But when it came to talking to Ali Dawa, I had no intention of actually talking to him. It was this lady in the crowd who said, this girl's an ex-Muslim, talk to her. And she kept like yelling at him to talk to me. And Jimmy kept offering him Malibu for whatever reason. So I was like pulled to the front, and Armin was like filming me awkwardly on his camera, and I was like pushed to talk to him. And I thought, you know what? I'm a little tipsy. I don't want to get in a fight. I have no expectations for this conversation because let's be real. If I make an argument, it's going to be a shit show. So I just thought, okay, I'll just try and talk to him. Like I've just met him and he's asking for directions. I'm just going to be an amicable human being and see how it goes. So that is the context for this video.
Okay. I mean, not that it's really necessary, but it's nice to get some background news straight from the horse's mouth. So,
yeah.
And I would quickly just like to say hello, chat, because now there's more people there. Hello, everybody. And if later on anybody wants to join, go and message us. You just put the Gin and Tonic Show, and then this will be highlighted in the in the scrolling chat, and then we can talk to you, and then we can just have you send us some whatever message on Facebook, and then we can get you in here, because this is what we do. This is what we're all about, because it's a Gin and Tonic Show. This is where we go and speak about Islam, where we address Islam, and we only address Islam. Okay, we don't talk about BMW, or we don't talk about ships or anything. We talk about Islam. And what we do is, I mean, we have the intention, like really, we want to bring facts. We want to address an ideology, to confront Islam with reality, okay? Not Muslims. We don't want to attack Muslims. We don't want to attack Islam either. We just go and bring the facts. We make people aware of what is happening in the Quran. We make people aware of what is happening in Islam. And that's what we're trying to do. Now, I think I'm quite a nice guy. I'm not somebody that is, barks at people, anything, unless they come and lie to me, unless they deceive me, unless they willfully try and bullshit me with something. That's when I get angry. But other than that, I'm very peaceful. I'm very tolerant, I think, anyway, and definitely not racist, not Nazi or anything. But we critique, and we use facts. We use reality, we use reasoning, and that is it. So if you want to comment, question, correct, or you're simply curious about anything Islam, well, you've come to the right place. And we like to let the Quran speak for itself, not the thousands of people, scholars or not, who commented on this, but we try and go straight to the horse's mouth. Don't go to Patreon, don't go to PayPal. Everything here is for free. Don't pay for anything here, because you might spoil us. So, having said that, we are going to, what we want to do is then change this a little bit and go, because this is what Ali Dawa does. Okay, so he has a lot of videos where, for example, here, he says a young girl accepts Islam, and then this is the young girl. Where you see absolutely nothing of her, because he says, no, you cannot depict any woman. And this is what Islam does. Okay, this is why we criticize Islam, because today, in the 21st century, we should not have this. We should not be treating women like this. We know that women are people. 50% of the world's population is female. That's the way that it is. Okay, we can't change that. Why do we have to go and hide 50% of the population, especially if the claim is in the Islamic text that we are perfectly created by a perfect creator who is the best of all the creators? And then out comes this that you have to hide? Come on. And this is exactly what we're trying to show. that this does not belong in the 21st century. Now, what happened is, this is Faye. This is Faye on the panel. And these are Faye's boobs. You see, so because Faye is a female, and we know that 50% of the population doesn't have a penis, but they have boobs, okay, at least roughly speaking. And I think we can all agree on that. But what he says, no, my eyes are firmly fixed at some point in the distance, even though I am addressing this person who is standing right next to me. I am not, I mean, look at this, the look of disbelief on Armin's face. The way that this guy is doing everything to avoid looking at Faye. He is so shit scared that his eyes might wander in this direction. She doesn't even dare look at her eyes, because his eyes might wander off a little bit further south. But then, I don't know, Big Ben is going to come crumbling down or something. I have no idea what he thinks will happen. And this is doorknob head, exactly. The famous blur the boobies picture, exactly. And he had to look at them to blur them. No, he probably had a girl come in to do that for him.
Someone asked me, do you think during editing he had to edit it? And I was like, yeah, he probably had to look, he probably had to guess where my boobs were in the frame to figure out where, because he's not allowed to look at it. So he just close his eyes and,
this is so weird. And come on, guys, can anybody tell me that this is exactly what we should be doing in the 21st century? Does this have anything to do with modesty? Come on. All right, I don't do this anymore, but I used to spend a lot of time on nudist beaches, all right? Now, how many girls get raped on nudist beaches? I don't know any girl that gets raped on a nudist or groped on a nudist beach, okay? Because I treat a woman according to the personality, not according to her boobs. And I don't go and, only choose a woman because of her belly button or because of the little toe or whatever. No, I go for the personality. And I accept that she has boobs, but I don't go and do my best to avert and to go crazy about this.
If I may chime in, I think the narrative has changed from if she doesn't wear it, she'll get harassed or raped to, oh, she should just wear it because she's more precious. So I don't think the narrative is anymore that she'll get raped. I think the narrative has changed a little so that it fits the feminist narrative a bit more. Because if they're going around saying that if she doesn't wear this, she's gonna get fucking raped, I don't think the feminists would back them. So I think the narrative has changed to suit that a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Modesty, I think now.
I'd agree with that, because I think the term that they used was we must treat women as our gems. And the last time I listened to anything from Ali Dawa, that women were referred to as gems. So yeah, I'd agree with.
So don't look at the gems. They are gems, but hide them.
I think he was referring to those as puppies, though. So.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. May Allah guide her and me and her boobs. Never forget this. Never look down. Never look down. Never look down on anyone. He is so confused by this. Never look down at the boobs. Go look and focus on the eyes, but never look down on anyone. So now it's getting philosophical. Anyway, motivated Muslim comments. Mashallah, notice how Ali tried to avoid looking at her or making eye contact. Mashallah. May Allah help us all to lower our gazes. Ameen. Can you believe that?
Honestly, it's so pretentious and snobby. Like, how much more of a dick can you be in the comment section on a YouTube video?
Exactly. This is why I thought let's just spend a few minutes on this, because I was having so much fun reading this. This is so funny. This is really so funny.
Oh, the comments. Okay, so the comment section of this entire video is hysterical. Like, I did not want to make a video on it because it would last forever. There are so many comments that I just want to sit there and laugh at.
Exactly. Mashallah, lowering the gaze. Brother like no tomorrow, just as we all should. This is so funny. Laugh
I would
eyes of
like to
brothers
ask-
need to look up to the sky now, because looking down is not enough with the outfits these girls been wearing lately.
Can I just chime in, because there's going to be a lot of these comments. I just want to ask a very simple question. Is it my fault that you guys are incels?
Exactly.
You've chosen this life, not my fault.
Shit. Well, I thought I was making the comments bigger, and all it's doing is making the thumbnails bigger. How can I get the... Faye, can you read the comments?
Do you want me to read them?
But can you make them out? No, it doesn't make this bigger. Because I tried to zoom in further more, but I can't.
I can make them out, yeah.
Then why don't you read them? Because they're all addressed to you, aren't they?
Yeah, so Tasdiq Khan says her dad tried to kill her, then she left Islam. What does that have anything to do with Islam? It's usually those with weird emotional stories that tie everything to God. She's not that bright. Well done, Ali, for not even looking at her.
Oh my God.
Okay, I would like to clarify that I didn't say that my dad trying to kill me was the reason I left Islam. Okay, my faith was still pretty strong after that, which is saying a lot for me. But like the fact that he was like, "Oh, thank you for not even spending enough time with her." Some of these people are just truly disgusting. Honestly, no empathy as well.
Yeah, but look what they're focused on. This is the funny thing. They're all so focused on this that they don't even listen to what you're saying. They don't listen to your story. They don't appreciate your personality. They don't appreciate the background. They don't appreciate why, what, where, how. They're only focused on one thing. And that's amazing.
Yep. John Citizen says, this woman leaves Islam. Also this woman. Ali, don't backbite. Am I wrong though? Am I fucking wrong? No. So fuck y'all. Muslims, alhamdulillah. That's your username, dude? Like
Muslima.
Does it say Muslim?
Muslima, alhamdulillah. That sounds like what you say when you orgasm or something.
Profile picture's also blank.
Yeah, that's nothing.
May Allah strengthen us in our deen and give us the highest paradise. Ameen. Love it how you lower your gaze, brother. MashaAllah. Rose.
Wow.
This video wasn't about lowering his gaze. He fucking blurred my chest out. You know he had to get someone to do that. So the next one is from Harun Abdullah. You never became Muslim if you didn't meet the conditions of the Shahada in your heart. Yes, you do need experience in quotation marks. No, you don't. No, you don't. If I say the Shahada right now and a practicing Sunni Muslim comes out and says that I am a kafir, they have committed takfir because they don't know what's in my heart. So
Exactly.
to correct you, you don't need experience. A person just says the Shahada and they're considered a Muslim. That's how Islam works. It's not based on it.
It's strange. Every time when a person, to become a Muslim, all you have to do is say the Shahada. When you say you're an ex-Muslim, you're a fake, you never took the Shahada, and all the diatribe that goes with it. It's almost like a win-win or a lose-lose with Muslim discussion. And the irony is most of these people now are sort of like Quranist Muslims. They're not even Hadith Muslims anymore, which begs the question, well, why do you ever accept the Shahada in the first place when you don't take the Hadith as serious? You know, the amount of hypocrisy, duplicity, and contradiction contained therein. You know, well, it's Islam. What did you expect to bring consistency? So it annoys me when I hear that. You know, it's like when we've had people, Muslims, visit the show every now and again, and the first thing they'll say to you were never a real Muslim. You never took the Shahada. How does taking the Shahada or saying the Shahada mean that you're a real Muslim in the first place? How many people have repeated it just out of saying that they know it, that they can repeat it? Does that define that you're a Muslim then? No, it doesn't. Repeating something doesn't mean that you're a Muslim, does it? I don't
But no
understand.
one can decide that you're a Muslim after you say it.
There's the point. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. So anyone can say it. That doesn't define you as a Muslim. So how can you be defined as not being a real Muslim then?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just the argument.
Cool is just saying this is the new Islamic tradition. Lower the gays, but gays as in the happy guys. Yeah, this is, and I'm not going to put this up now, but this is one of my favorite memes where you have exactly what Cool is saying. You have all these different traditions, like hanging out with the guys is a picture behind it of Tehran where they were they were hanging the gays up on a crane, and this was hanging out with the guys is where you were hanging up from a crane. So this is it's sick. Okay, it appeals to my South African sense of humor. So I love it. So these things. Faye, you missed one from Tariq Hassan.
Can you expand that one? Because it says read more.
There you go.
Yep. Her father tried to kill her. This is how you get to bottom. These people have family problems, life problems, blame everything on creator and become atheists. Explains a lot. You had a bad father and you couldn't handle it means you are weak. That doesn't mean there is no God. By the way, if you see atheists and if you dig into their history, they were and are simply weak. That's why they pick comfort zone of atheism out of arrogance. Not even they are knowledgeable enough. Simply they follow others' ideology without attempting to investigate by themselves.
And yet Yasser Qadhi, this is where I like the honesty of Yasser Qadhi. He actually admits it's texts in the Quran that are causing the problem. When you go to the Kal Yuga, not the Kal Yuga, that's Hinduism, the Gog and Magog of the Quran, he admits this is causing a problem, the understanding of this. And you'll notice in the discussion how many times he actually says, Allah knows best, Allah knows best, like the default of, we don't understand this, so we'll recite this kind of mantra when we come across something that we don't understand in Islam. And yet you have these critics that are writing notes about people like yourself and myself leaving Islam as some kind of deficiency in our intellect or our understanding, when the reality is it is actually a testimony of our critical thinking as to why we left Islam, and it's a testimony of a deficiency in their thinking as to why they haven't left Islam. Haven't left Islam.
Yeah, but especially since Faye has explained it so nicely. Faye, do you want to take this apart a bit?
Yeah, I do. Like, this guy's name is Tariq Hassan. Like, clearly he was born a Muslim. Like, very obviously. And the fact that he says that's why they pick the comfort zone of atheism. I don't know anyone who's chosen to be an atheist and it's been a comfortable decision for them. Like, I don't know anyone. I mean, I've met people who were born into atheist families, you know, and were raised atheists, and I feel like that's different. But I don't know anyone, especially from a Muslim background, who's chosen to be an atheist, be an agnostic, be a different religion than Islam, and be comfortable in it, either in themselves or with the people around them. It's not a comfortable decision because it makes you question everything you've ever learned, and everything that everyone is trying to force down your throat because Islam is a fucking prison. I don't understand where he gets off by saying that it's a comfortable decision to make and that atheism is somehow weak. You are literally choosing to be a minority. Choosing. You're not born into a minority. You are choosing to be a minority, and you are choosing to be ostracized by your entire community. That is not weak. If anything, that is the strongest possible thing that you can do in terms of your mind.
And I would go even further. I think it's being an atheist, being somebody without a God belief, I think is the most uncomfortable position to have, because I am dying to know, why am I here? Where do I come from? Where does the universe come from? Where does conscience come from? What the fuck happened? And I have to live with this, that nobody can tell me. I have to live with, I don't know. Whereas it's so comfortable to go and say, God did it, because then I can sleep easy. I don't have to worry about all these things, because there is Superman up there in the sky. He's taking care of everything. I can sit back, relax. All I have to do is my boom, boom, boom 5 times a day, and I'm done. And this is the most comfortable position of them all. So I think it's the other way around, that the theist has taken the easy way out of not thinking, of not wondering, of not researching, of not doing anything about the situation and just accepting it.
Hang on, have
Yeah,
a
they
word.
absolutely have.
I am a theist, so go easy on,
Oh,
not
sorry. I forgot about
crying out loud.
Yeah, but you're a different theist.
I would like to add, on my channel, we recently did a video. I did a video with Ali Malik and Zara K, and we were talking about how, just like that moment of leaving Islam, and we were talking about how distressing it was for us to go and find, that there were no answers to these doubts that we had. And we all left Islam because we were looking for answers. It was
Exactly.
very, very uncomfortable. It was extremely it was extremely distressing. It caused us a great deal of, emotional and mental turmoil to leave a fairy tale. And that's fucked up. But it is one of the most strongest things that you can do in your own mind is question everything you believe. You feel like you're walking in the fucking Matrix. Like you take that fucking pill, and now you're like, well, my entire life is just meaningless, and you don't know what to do with that information until you come across other people who feel the same way, or you find a new purpose. It is
Exactly.
such a difficult thing to do. And the fact that theists can well, I don't want to say theists in general, but religious people who follow organized religion, sit back and comfortably say, "Oh, you took the, the weak way out," is like, what the fuck? You've been religious all your life, and you're gonna tell me that I took the weaker decision?
Faye, can I just say that not all theists would think that. I was sitting here when the remark was made that you took the easy way out, or that atheism is easy. I'm thinking that's probably the most obtuse, naive, and disrespectful thing you can say, because you've actually gone from, as Stops was brought out, from something to nothing, to an empty hole of which there is no light at the end of the tunnel if you're an atheist, if you decide to go for atheism. So it just shows immaturity on the thinking of anybody who has come from that point. I think, and I don't know if you've ever come across this while you're growing up in Islam, that there are many people in Islam that are in the same position of you, but they're too cowardly or weak-minded or naive or gullible to say anything about Islam. They have strong beliefs and it's not true. They have nowhere to go. There's no one to look for hope or for strength. In any given situation, sometimes you need one person to be the catalyst, like a leader, someone to stand up, and then soon after that, other people follow. It happens with, say, riots or marches or protests. You need that one person, then another person follow. It's the same thing with Islam. You have many people, in my opinion, they say 1.5 billion are Muslim. It wouldn't surprise me if something like 500 million people that are born in the religion actually knows it's a load of rubbish. But they're living in societies or cultures or locations where they can't freely express their knowledge, or, if you like, suspect that Islam is not true. But they're living in an environment where they can't voice that. Sometimes there are other people that probably know that Islam is not true, but they don't have strength of character like you or myself and others have walked away from it to take the hostility that's going to come with it. And there could be an envy and a jealousy on that part, that they see people like you and me doing something that they can never do themselves. So the only opportunity they've got is to attack the very thing that they can never do themselves.
Yeah, but here he's showing his desperation. I mean, this is a very weak person. Somebody who can write, "You had a bad father and you couldn't handle it," means you're weak. That is not only arrogant, that is outright stupid. Because if you are a child, the only thing you have in your life are your parents. The only people that you really trust in your life are your parents. That is where you get your initial branding, everything from. And now you have a father who abuses you. That is life-shattering.
I think that that's a theme with a lot of the comments that I get, is just this pure lack of empathy, like human empathy. What I tried to highlight in my Awesome Without Allah video is that I didn't have this empathy when I was a Muslim, and so many people came back and they cursed me out, and I was so happy. I was so happy that they did that, because they proved my point. You are Muslims and you have no empathy for a fellow human being. All I'm doing is talking about what I was like, and you have no empathy for me or my experiences, and it's thank you.
And it's not that it doesn't mean that there is no God. It just means there is not the God, the one that is claimed in Islam. That is the whole point that Faye is making. Why can't you fucking understand what is going on? Why are you so stupid and you are so arrogant to think that your way is the only way? No, you got it wrong.
But that's how they've been programmed. Islam isn't like growing up and learning and being critical thinking as to why you believe it. It is you're brainwashed into it. You're told how to think, not what to think. I mean, the very premise of the Quran is do not think, otherwise it will cause you trouble. When Allah has said that, and it's been sitting, and that verse has been sitting next to Allah for time indefinite past and in the future, what are you to expect from its adherents when their very God tells them not to ask questions?
Yeah.
So you're brought up in an environment and an ideology that does not encourage it. Now, that is different. I mean, this isn't apologetics, but the Bible at 2 points does say, question. So, the theistic point on some religions are very different. Some don't promote thinking, some actually do.
Well, and this is the whole point. This is why the Bible, this is the funny thing, and as soon as you start questioning, you find it's a lot of nonsense as well. There's a very clever quote, and I can't remember if it's attributed to Bertrand Russell or who it was, who said, it's very different. If you read the Bible, you become an atheist. It's when somebody else reads it to you and tells you about it that you become a Christian. And this is the same thing in Islam. If you read the Quran, you're an atheist. But if somebody else tells you what's inside there, that's when you get a Muslim. And that is the huge, big difference.
It's a snake oil salesman. That's what it is.
And then this asshole, I mean, he's such an idiot. Not even they are knowledgeable enough. Now, okay, I maintain that after having looked at Islam now for I don't know how many years, I know more than 99% of Muslims about Islam, because I find it pitiful that what Muslims actually know about Islam. There is so little that they know because they only rely on their scholars. They only rely what others tell them about it. They don't check whatever it is. They don't check what it says in the Quran. They don't go and look at the sources because they might just find something that is wrong. I remember this guy. Oh God, what's this guy in the suit that is too hijab? Muhammad Hujab, the guy who wears the suits that's too small for him. He was asked, okay, can you explain how you can inherit 2/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/8 plus a half plus a quarter plus an eighth? How does that work? And he says, I don't know. I have to go and consult my elders before I say something wrong. He cannot say what it says in the Quran. He has to go and consult
Just do the math.
Well, he's not allowed to. He's not allowed to. This is why he had to go back and check. He's not allowed to do it himself.
But that's the thinking, yet again, that's the thinking and mentality behind Islam. That's why you have all these scholars for dollars, so that the thinking is done for you. You don't have to think. Yet again, it's that point. Islam does not teach you to think. All your thinking is done for you. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is like it's a very good segue. Look at the last sentence. They follow others' ideology without attempting to investigate by themselves. That's exactly your point.
It's a pure projection. I have always said the most inspired thing about the history of Islam is that the first word that was revealed was Iqra. It was read. And so many of these people do not fucking read. Like, just read it. You're divine. You think it can't be, tampered with. Read it. What are you so afraid of?
But the Quran does that several times. It's like, if they read through it, surely they'll find much contradiction therein. There is much contradiction therein. You'll say that there isn't, but there is, or that you won't find many. The Quran is sort of like a book of irony. Like you just said there, the first words in it is read, but they don't read. This is a book that doesn't have any contradiction, but it does. Everything you say about that the Quran, every statement it makes about itself that it doesn't have is the very thing that it does.
Exactly. Okay, let's have 2-3 more then, or do you want to pick something? Like these things are always the same. I have an ex-spouse who's semi-plotted and blah, blah, blah. They don't understand it. It's always the same thing. I left all ties with this man and that's it. And now I'm a good Muslim. You get this all the time, again and again.
Look, all I've got to say is good for you. I'm glad you're out of a bad situation, but I didn't say that my abuse had anything to do with my faith. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you can watch it back. After seeing all these comments, I had to watch back the video to think, did I say that it had to do anything with? No, I didn't. So I don't know why they're just picking up on buzzwords and then being like, oh, but that's not got anything to do with Islam. Okay, I didn't say it did.
Well, it got you thinking and it triggered logical reasoning, and that's what in the end did it. But it's not the only thing. It's not the reason. No.
Yeah.
Ex-Muslims just want to follow their whims and desires. Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah. I have raped exactly the number of women I wanted to rape the whole day, which is 0 because I don't want to. So what is my whim and desire? I did what I have to do. I do what I like to do. And what the fuck is wrong with that? Please tell me that. What is wrong with that?
I don't understand why they say things like this as if Muslims don't do that anyway. That Muslims follow their whims and desires, they just say astaghfirullah afterwards.
And the thing is, today again, I went to a shopping center, and who was parked on a handicapped zone? Muslim woman calmly gets out of her car, wants to walk off, and I say, "Excuse me, do you need a handicapped parking?" No. What's it to you? Mind your own business. Fuck off. And I said, "Oh, is that what Islam teaches you?" And that actually made her feel bad, and she went back and reparked. But they do this constantly. What is that? Is that what Islam teaches you?
But you have to bear in mind, Islam does teach that non-Muslims are the worst of creatures. So the mentality is, if you're not a Muslim, you're the worst of creature anyway.
So fuck you. Who cares whether you're handicapped? I'll take your parking. But it's funny that 99% of cases, it's Muslims. Why is it so many Muslims who think that handicapped parking is for handicapped and Muslims? It's very strange. It's this fake supremacy feeling that they have.
It's because they can't bleed and read, that's why.
Okay, I mentioned how I wanted to make Speaker's Corner better. No, so if parents of USA, where's a nice one? Okay, I'm going to go down, and they all come back to this. So you must have struck a nerve somewhere with this father tried to kill me. They don't quite understand how it ties in. They don't quite understand what it is that you are saying, but they all hear this part. It seems that they are nervous about this.
It's a buzzword. It's the only thing they can use to discredit me in some way, which is sad that they have to use that as a way to discredit me. Don't you think?
I'm not sure, because I think they're actually feeling bad, because in Islam, it does say, honor your parents, and your parents should feel pride for of their children. And this is not really what they like hearing, that a Muslim kills their own child or threatens or abuses or in any way.
What's funny is that if you go down far enough, there are people laughing about it and other people who say they feel bad about it. So I think it varies.
It's also true, yeah. It's difficult to say, I think. Okay, let me go down. You say stop when you want something longer.
There's one, I think she mentions that she prayed Salah with me or something, but I don't know how far down that is.
Respect to Allah for lowering his gaze. Yeah, you stupid.
Oh, there's one that says, that's from Rayan Mohsen. She's jarring. Oh my God, how could she back that Ridwan guy who used religion for money? And how could you swear at Allah? Like, this shows that her level of respect ain't there either. How's it backbiting when this gets posted on publicly on so? Can you learn? Oh my God. The level of English is killing me. But okay. Backbiting is backbiting regardless of how it's done. He called him a clown, called him a boy animal, called him a donkey. Backbiting. I'm sorry. Don't care what you have to say about it. Oh, they've got a comment about Armin there as well. Why is that rat always filming you like he is a snake in the grass? Better watch out.
Well, okay, no, I'm not going to even try to. I mean, that is so stupid. Ali Dawa says something. Okay, so what? Plus 10. Ali Dawa says something. Plus 10 faith, plus 100 respect. Okay, can somebody translate that for me? As soon as Ali Dawa says something, he gets faith and respect?
I don't know. But Good Morning says she is an Indian Hindu Randi. What does that mean?
She's an Indian. I don't know.
Sounds
The
like
title of the verse is so on point. May Allah bless you all. I think most people misunderstand enslavement. People are dedicated to something in life. There's tons of women and men who are constantly busy with how others see them. Women who need 2 or more hours just to do their makeup, dressing up very tight and uncomfortable, complaining if they don't. Oh, come on, this is okay. We'll
You
all be
think they're trying to say that you're a Rani, meaning that you're a little Indian queen? Because Rani is queen. Maybe the type.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Rani is not Rani.
I don't know.
Is Rani means queen. So unless they're trying to refer to you as a queen, and it's a typo.
I would write a poem and that one killed me. Inshallah, coming to Speaker's Corner to see you. Actually, from the first time I watched you, I loved you so much. I felt so proud. Is this for Ali or what? Ali, what was the outcome of this girl off camera? Ali, what was the outcome with this girl off camera? Well, you went home and had sex, didn't you?
We went for dinner. I told you last week.
Oh, goodness. No, I wanted to start a rumor. Come on. I know you have
He bought us tea.
It's crazy that I knew this girl. Oh, there's one.
Amount.
There's your.
Adnan paid a significant amount to the bill.
Here's your comment.
Which comment?
The one you wanted.
Yeah. Carve the mark. Oh, that is a depressing name. Subhanallah, it's crazy that I knew this girl. She's had a rough life. I even prayed salah with her too. I think she just needs guidance, man. Her mom was such a beautiful, pious, and kind auntie. She passed away. May Allah give her Jannatul Firdaus. I mean, just imagine her mom seeing her now, turned away from Islam. May Allah guide her back to Islam. See, like, this is a really well-meaning comment, but look at this emotional guilt tripping. Imagine what her dead mom would think of her now. Like, come on. Come on.
Yeah, but all right. Do you want to take apart the logics here? I mean, this is so crazy. May Allah guide her back to Islam. Why is it that you left in the first place? Because Allah is an asshole. All right? Because Allah didn't treat you in your life the way that you ought to have been treated. And that is what made you doubt the whole thing. So, you know, to go to a God and say, well, hang on, guide her back when this guy has just badly failed at everything possible, that's ridiculous.
Oof. It is ridiculous.
Okay, she left Islam so she won't have any spiritual obligation. Yeah, of course. Sister, don't lose your
Yeah, because me praying 5 times a day, waking up for the tahajjud, like fasting off Ramadan, that wasn't like something that I enjoyed doing at all.
So you're not getting any blonder, so you are screwed here.
Huh? What?
You're not getting any blonder, so you're screwed.
Oh, I can get more blonde than that.
Oh, shit.
That's a personal challenge.
I know this comment will get lost. Well, we're making sure that it doesn't. But I wish every one of you who does see this is a successful one day. What is this?
Oh, it's a spam. I think it's a spam. It's one of those I'm a small YouTuber, subscribe to me comments, isn't it?
Like, to activate, please look at my name. It doesn't cost anything. Yeah, it is. Okay, sorry. People are so aggressive and anyone. Okay, I think we can leave it at that, eh?
Yeah, I think we've seen enough.
All right, then let's get back to the serious stuff. Oh, hang on. We have somebody here. Dang dang.
Okay, so
Faye, do you want to show off a bit?
people are gonna have to excuse my recitation today because my throat has taken a beating. But I'll recite this for you. وما أصابكم يوم التقى الجمعان فبإذن الله وليعلم المؤمنين. Oh, that is a fucking despicable verse. That's a
And
terrifying
Sahih
verse.
International says that what struck you on the day the two armies met was by permission of Allah, that He might make evident the true believers. And Yusuf Ali says what ye suffered on the day the two armies met was with the leave of Allah, in order that He might test the believers.
Oh, such a loving God. I'm
So nice, yeah.
in from love.
Now, what I sometimes do is I read a section from a different translation. I don't know. Have you heard of Rashid Khalifa?
Rashid Khalifa, no.
He's a guy from the US, from Tucson, in Arizona, and he came up with a different translation.
Oh, you talked about this. Yes. I remember.
He put himself in and was subsequently killed. Okay. Now, the way that he has translated it incorporates a tafsir. In other words, it already explains a lot of things which, because this sentence to me does not really make so much sense. So what I always do is I go and read what afflicted you the day the two armies clashed was in accordance with God's will and to distinguish the believers. Okay, he also doesn't make much sense.
If you bear in mind, isn't this the continuation of the discussion about that? If you, it doesn't matter what you do, whether you went to war or whether you stayed at home, your fate is already predetermined.
Yes,
So
and if what makes you a good Muslim is the one that goes and fights.
Yeah.
So yeah, but here Ibn Abbas says injuries on the day the army met was by permission. Okay, he just repeats it. The Jalalains, what afflicted you at Uhud was by God's leave, by His will, that you might know through knowledge.
These are the tafsirs.
So yeah, but this is again, the Jalalains are normally the ones I find who are quite clear. Okay, and here they say that he might know through knowledge manifested outwardly. This is a clear contradiction to the all-knowing God.
That's a confusing sentence. He
Yes.
might know?
He might know through knowledge manifested outwardly, the believers. He might know the believers. This contradicts the all-knowing God. This contradicts the pen that wrote everything down. This contradicts everything in Islam. So this sentence, the way that it is structured, is confusing even for the scholars. So what you suffered when you were fighting, why should you suffer when you were fighting? You have a God on your side. You have 70,000 angels fighting for you on your side.
No.
How is it that you can still suffer something?
No, the angels fighting was a different battle. This is about Uhud. This is about the battle that they lost.
Yes, so why didn't he have any angels here?
Oh, because
How do you know there were no angels?
He says that he said it was done by his permission so that he could test the true believers.
Yeah. So how do you test believers? By making them fight?
By murdering them, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
It was also the way that Muhammad was trying to rally
Look, let me tell you what happened, okay? They lost a massive battle because Khalid ibn Walid is a great military leader and he outflanked the Muslims because the Muslims did not listen to Muhammad and did not stay on the mountain, and they ran down because they preemptively thought that they won the battle. But Khalid ibn Walid came around that fucking mountain and destroyed them all, and Muhammad had to find a good reason for why they lost that fucking battle. So this is what he did.
Yeah.
It's a test.
And also the ones that stayed at home, he was trying to rally them into the support, because he basically was trying to say to them, well, if you'd have stayed at home, you would have died, or you'd have come, because you didn't die, you could have come and fought today, and you still wouldn't have died. There was no need to be scared by staying at home.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
Faye, if you read the original Arabic, do you agree with the translation, or do you see any obvious contradictions or inconsistencies?
No, it makes sense, and it says, and ma what asabakum struck yawm at-taqal, on that day, jama'ani, two armies, fabi idhnillahi, with his knowledge, with Allah's knowledge, so that he could separate you from the disbelief, he could make evident the true believers.
Okay.
وَيَعْلَمُ knowledge al-mu'minin, believers. Yeah, it follows.
What is this word that I highlighted?
Asabakum. It means to like punish. It means to like strike. I don't know how to say it in English.
Okay, but this is not the same word that is used in the 4th chapter when it comes to hitting your wives. Or is this the same root?
That's. I think that's idrib. I think that's to beat. That's different.
Ah, okay. This is exactly the point that I'm trying to make. Thank you very much. Yeah, I love it. I love it to have. Oh, yes, this is so nice that you are here. Thank you so much. Ah, good. Next, please. Oh shit, this is long. I don't know if you want to do
long ayah. Oh, my lung's gonna hold out for that one.
No, don't you don't have to.
No, I want to. I think this is proof that I was a Muslim at some point. Somebody can cut this and be like, look, she's not reciting properly. وَلِيَعْلَمَ الَّذِينَ نَافَقُوا وَقِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا قَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَوْ ادْفَعُوا قَالُوا لَوْ نَعْلَمُ قِتَالًا لَاتَّبَعْنَاكُمْ هم للكفر يومئذ أقرب منهم للإيمان يقولون بأفواههم ما ليس في قلوبهم والله أعلم بما تكتمون. It's not bad for someone who hasn't read the Quran in like 5 years.
You're sending shivers down my spine. I'm waiting for my Quran teacher to come through the door, whip me on the back of my neck because I'm not doing the rocking motion.
Okay, then I will do the rest. Take a little bit of what are you drinking? What do you rum? I hear is very good for your throat with honey. I brought some back because I was in the Canary Islands, and there they have this beautiful rum with some honey in it, and this is so good for your throat. Let me tell you, this is only for medicinal purposes, of course. He might make. Sorry.
I just said, of course. I'm just affirming.
Of course, yeah. That he might make evident those are hypocrites, for it was said to them, come and fight in the way of least defense. They said, if we had known, we would have followed you. They were nearer to disbelief that day than to faith, saying with their mouths that was not in their hearts. And Allah is most knowing of what they conceal. Okay, this is the same story. This is exactly what's the story that you were talking about. Usually what he says, and the hypocrites also, these were told, come fight in the way of Allah, or at least drive, They said, had we known how to fight, we should certainly have followed you. They were that day nearer to unbelief than to faith, saying their lips what was not in their hearts, but Allah had full knowledge of all they conceal.
So the story here was that originally there was supposed to be 1,000 Muslims at Uhud, fighting at Uhud, but 300 of them, led by the head hypocrite, as they were called, the Munafiqun. His name was Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Sulul, I think, and he led away 300 of the men, so like a third of the army he took back to Medina.
Oh my God, where do you know all this? You read this in advance. You knew we were going to do this, right?
Oh, you didn't tell me what verses. I'm just too deep.
No, you're doing extremely well because, I don't know, even Abbas agrees with you. Jalalains, they also agree with you, I think. They don't have... I know also they have Ubay and it's good, Okay, Kashani. Okay, even Kathir, I'm not going to go through. That's going to there. And then Maududi, remove the confusion caused in the minds of the common Muslims by the reverse at Uhud. Isn't it Uhud? I think they missed the UH here. Though the intimate companions close to the Holy Prophet were under no delusion that his mere presence among them was a sure guarantee of success, yet the common Muslims were suffering from a misunderstanding. They thought that the disbelievers could in no way win a victory over them because the Holy Prophet was present among them, and the help and succor of Allah was with them. Therefore, when contrary to expectations, they met with the reverse. I mean, this is, I think, defeat at Uhud. They began to ask questions like, why has this misfortune befallen, and so on and so forth and so on. And they, again, this is the favorite because this is always something that comes up when Thunderous sees these. He always asks, well, how do they know? Where do you get the text that 70 Muslims were martyred? And that 70, not 71 or 80 or 60, no, 70 were taken as prisoners and 70 were killed. Why is it 70, 70, 70? Where do they get these numbers from? Is it correct? Is that what you're thinking?
Look. It just makes it easier on the Alamiya tests, okay? It just makes it so much easier.
Actually, I actually went through one of those, and they're quite difficult because they want you to really learn these like verbatim. And that's,
yeah, and imagine having to remember like odd numbers, like not 70.
Yeah.
Everything is 70
which
or
one
an
was
odd
what?
number.
Was it 60? Was it 60? No, let's make it 70, 70, 70, then we don't go wrong. Oh, okay.
I personally think he gets these numbers because you'll see a set number of numbers always being mentioned, 7, 40, 70. I think these are numbers that he's picked up from the Bible or the Talmud because he might see there's some religious significance in these numbers. That's why they're getting these numbers. Because it's always the same numbers that you tend to find in the situation that's in the Bible or in the Talmud.
Yeah, but in 70, the 7 is always many, and if you add a 0, it's very many. So this is the example that I brought last week with Swahili, where maji is water and maji is wet. So a lot of water makes it wet. So this is the same thing. So 7 and a 0 is more than a 7. So 7 is many, so it's very many. So it doesn't really matter how many.
It's just a miracle, okay? Let's just move on.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's go to the next one. Do you want to recite this as well? Do you want to recite all of them or just some of them?
I'm happy to recite all of them. I'm actually quite enjoying remembering how to recite this. الذين قالوا لإخوانهم وقعدوا I got confident there. وقعدوا لو أطاعونا ما قتلوا قل فاضرؤوا عن أنفسكم الموتى إن كنتم صادقين.
Those who said about their brothers while sitting at home, if they had obeyed us, they would have not been killed. Then prevent death from yourselves if you should be truthful. This is the same thing what we had last week, 2 weeks ago. The ones that, while they themselves said at ease, if only they had listened to us, they would not have been slain. Avert death from yourselves if you speak the truth. Yeah, this is terrible. This is thunderous. Do you remember this?
This is what I'm saying. It's just a repeat, repeat, and repeat. It's exactly the same thing, using a different word salad to say the same thing.
This is a call to arms, like quite literally.
Oh, it's a call to arms, but it's also trying to do it in such a way as to ridicule those that didn't have faith, in as much that they stayed at home, and he's trying to rally them around, saying, well, this is where that predestination doctrine comes in, because he's basically saying, well, if you were going to die, you'd have died at home or died on the battlefield, so what difference does it make? Because if I remember correctly, he's going to go on and talk about martyrdom and the bravery rewards later on, and that's what it's leading up to.
Well, it's just shaming the others.
Yeah, it's embarrassing them into action. Absolutely.
Faye, here you go.
ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أمواتا بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون.
What happens if you don't read it with a melody?
Nothing. It's just how I learnt to read.
So
Someone complained. They were like, "You're reading it with the melody. You don't need to do that." And it's like, I know, but I'm
of course.
sure.
Well, I'm also thinking, why is it so many times that when Muslims go and they say anything from the Quran, they try singing. I mean, the hijab guy does this a lot. So I always think, why is it that you will not simply say these things but sing them?
Because he
Oh,
revealed it in a rhythmic pattern, and two, it serves better for memory when you say it as a song, so to
Yep.
speak. You know, so the rhythm and the melody help the memory.
Yep.
So that's why I could never really learn poems.
Yes.
Okay, we don't need to go into this one. We've seen this a couple of times already. Rejoicing. Oh, sorry. Do you want to do this one? Go ahead.
No, I'm just like skimming the translation.
Okay,
It's
rejoicing
all
in what
about
Allah
the
has
same
bestowed
thing.
upon them of his bounty, and they receive good tidings about those who martyred after them, who have not yet joined them, and there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve. They rejoice in the bounty provided by Allah. I wonder what that bounty is. Okay, and with
They're
regard
dead.
to those left behind who have not joined them, glory in the fact on them is no fear, nor have they cause to grieve. Okay.
So the bounty they're referring to is the martyrdom.
So
Oh, they're going into the lexicons. That's not
his
necessary.
bounty. So fadlihi.
Yeah. But
So
the
his
one that the bounty that they're talking about is the bounty of being martyred, like the privilege of being a martyr, of being a shaheed.
so it's not bounty that you receive.
Yeah, well, it is received because he destined it for them, remember?
Okay.
Which is terrifying.
It is. So it's not because there's another bing bong. I can't remember which one it is. There is a sentence, actually, there's two of them in the Quran, which says exactly that Allah gets a fifth of the booty that you make. In other words, He gives people bounty, sustenance, and all sorts of things, and wealth, and success, and everything. And then Muhammad comes and takes it away, and then Allah wants a fifth of that. And this is what it says in the Quran. And this is something that I've always, thought Muslims, this is the first thing that they will go to. Why would a God request 20% of everything that you steal from others? But they don't seem to be worried about this.
They weren't worried a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the men. Was it the archers that wanted a reward for actually going out fighting for Allah?
Yes.
So it's a contract both ways. The archers or the fighters want to be paid, and Allah wants his commission out of the war as well. Everybody wants their share of the money.
This is so weird, hey?
Well, in these like old kinds of forms of warfare, the way that you collected bounty was by how many people you killed, which is a fair system. But Muhammad installed a system where there was a set limit of things that you could have, so the bounty was shared equally, which prevented fighting and stuff like that. So when the archers climbed down from that mountain, they expected to take as much bounty as possible because they thought that they were winning. Yeah, so I think that law was installed just so that everybody got an equal share of bounty.
Yeah, you're right on the amount of people you killed determine how much you got, because I think it's on some of the stone inscriptions of the Assyrian Empire, Ashburnapal or something. I forget what the king's name is. Sounds something like that.
Yep.
And the amount of heads that you carried determined how much you got paid.
Or scalps, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why they scalped people.
Okay, then let's go back to this is what the Tafseer say about this. Okay, jubilant because of which Allah has bestowed upon them of his honoring, rejoicing for the sake of those who have not joined but left behind, rejoicing because their brothers who are still in this world will join them because they have been given the good news that they, when others are struck with fear, when others grieve. I don't know what the hell this is. I don't know
what
why.
What does that mean?
Yeah, why do they need to put the stuff in brackets which doesn't explain anything? Neither, when others are struck with fear, neither shall they grieve when others grieve. What?
I don't know.
Carolines.
It sounds like what he's trying to say is that when the opposing army die, they grieve because they've died as kuffar in front of Allah. They've got no hope. Whereas those who have died or been slain for Allah, they don't grieve, and neither their family grieve. Well, obviously they don't grieve because they're dead, but their family don't grieve because they've gone on to a better place.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Must be, because I don't see any other possibility here. They rejoice in the bounty provided by Allah. Okay, so Allah provided bounty with regard to those left behind who have not joined them. In other words, the non-believers or the non-fighters.
Yeah. No. The people who haven't died.
Yeah, but are they the non-fighters or the non-believers?
The
martyrs.
well,
So
it's
they are the
the
non-martyrs.
Muslims who fought. It's the Muslims who fought but didn't die. Those who haven't joined them in death.
Okay. So they have not joined the martyrs. They are alive.
Yeah.
So they rejoice in the bounty, and those who have not died, who have not received the bounty,
Yeah.
they glory in the fact that on them is no fear, nor have they cause to grieve. So they don't have to worry. They will go and join them later, just not at this stage.
Yeah.
I think that's, okay. Oh, wow. All right.
That's fucked up.
171. There you go. Try reading this without singing. What happens?
يستبشرون بنعمة. I can't. It's the singing is instead.
Okay. No, do it with it. Doesn't matter. I was just curious.
I can't. I mean, I can try, but I can't because I didn't learn how to speak Arabic. I just learned how to understand it and recite it. So it's ingrained.
Hang on.
You should try it. You should try to see me like read a menu.
Yeah, but how can you recite and not understand?
Oh, I can understand it. I just can't read it like a normal Arab. I have to sing it.
Okay. All right, sing.
يستبشرون بنعمة من الله وفضل وأن الله لا يضيع أجر المؤمنين.
Okay,
and they receive good tidings of favor.
Do you want to do
That's
the
a
English?
throwaway. Did you want me to read it? They receive good tidings of favor from Allah and bounty, and of the fact that Allah does not allow the reward of the believers to be lost. The throwaway verse.
No, they glory in the grace. They glory in the grace. They glory in the bounty. They glory in the bounty from Allah and in the fact that Allah suffereth not the reward of the faithful to be lost. No, please. What the fuck is this?
That's a really archaic way of saying that Allah doesn't take away anything from the reward of the believers. Suffereth not.
Where is my alternate here?
Your
This
Shakespeare translator?
No, this is not my alternate. Shit,
It's just a black.
I cannot find my alternate. Oh shit, where did I put it? No, I hate it. Here. Okay, we had, what number was this? I can't read it. 171 or something. Okay, 170 is they are rejoicing in God's grace. They have good news for their comrades who did not die with them. that they have nothing to fear, nor will they grieve. Okay. I should have done this in the beginning because he explains it much better. And 171 is they have good news of God's blessings and grace, and that God never fails to reward the believers. You see, it's so easy when he explains it.
Yeah.
And it's true. The other one is a really archaic way of saying it. And this guy is much clearer. They have the good news, and God never fails to reward the believers. I mean, that's a funny claim, but whatever. Yeah, but then it makes sense, at least what the sentence says. All right.
Yeah, it's just like a politician making a promise.
Yeah, but an empty one. Yes, exactly.
You vote me in, I'll build the wall.
Yeah, and Mexico will pay. Okay, there you go.
الذين استجابون لله والرسول من بعد ما أصابهم القرح للذين أحسنوا منهم واتقوا أجر عظيم. I think this is in reference to the time that Muhammad got injured during the Battle of Uhud. Like a couple of his teeth fell out or something.
Those believers who responded to Allah and the Messenger after injury had struck them, for those who did good among them and feared Allah, again, is a great reward. But only when you're dead, okay. Of those who answered the call of Allah and the Messenger even after being wounded, no, those are, okay, they are the wounded ones. Those who do right and refrain from wrong have a great reward. Of those who answered the call of Allah, in other words, those who became Muslims even after they were wounded and do right and refrain from wrong, they will have something good coming to them when they're dead.
It's really, I don't understand how anyone could have possibly made tafsirs of this, because it's so confusing.
Well, that's why you have the Tafseers who put together the rest of the book plus the entire Sunnah to see if something of this makes sense. And this is why I've got the Bill Warner book here, where everything is in chronological sequence. Then it makes a lot more sense, because I don't know if you know this, that he took the Sirah and then associated. This was a Dutch guy, by the way, who started this. Put in sequence all the happenings of Muhammad with the sentences in the Quran. Allah then mentioned the company of the lesson Badr, saying, those who heard the answer by obeying him and messenger by accompanying the lesson after the day of Uhud. Okay, this is the same thing. Yeah. Okay, next, 173. Okay, I've just inserted €1. Faye, go.
You've inserted €1. Am I the Muslim jukebox?
Yes.
No, but seriously, you're not allowed to listen to music in Islam. This is the only source of art that you can come across.
Yeah. Because I've always got one eye on the chat. Islam Safrai, there's a guy, I don't know the name, unfortunately. I'd have to go look it up in the book, but I don't want to disrupt too much now. There's a guy in Holland who started this, and he then reordered the Quran, and then Dr. Bill Warner picked it up and then made it into a book. So you can find it there. All right, Faye, go. Sorry.
الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا وقالوا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. Oh, that's okay. This is more about the hypocrites.
Okay, Sahih International says, those to whom the hypocrites said, indeed, the people have gathered against you, so fear them. But it increased them in faith, and they said, sufficient for us is Allah. He is the best disposer of affairs.
Yep. That last line? What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing exactly about the disposer of affairs. You know what that reminds me of? one of these things, you know, these shredders, where you put a piece of paper in. This is the best disposer of affairs. This is just a big shredder.
He's a big
Oh,
shredder.
God.
But like that
Oh,
last line, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, what you're laughing about is actually a very popular dua.
oh, really? Sufficient. Okay. Oh, yeah, I can understand that. Sufficient for us is Allah, and He's the best disposer. Where affairs is anything negative, then this is the connotation, all right? Men
Well,
said to them, a great army is
affairs.
gathering against you, and frightened them, but it only increased their faith. And they said, for us, Allah suffices. Yeah, of course. So this is, I've heard Boma say this. When
It's just
everybody
like
is against you, then you need to increase your faith, and then because Allah is going to help you. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
full trust in Allah. That's all it is. It's just I don't
Exactly.
know anything, and I trust Allah.
Yeah, Allah knows best. I have no idea what ALM is, but I'm sure God knows. What do they say? It was also revealed, said to, but this only increased their faith. Okay, this is the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, 174.
I think
The
that's
Quran
another.
jukebox.
فانقلبوا بنعمة من الله وفضل لم يمسسهم سوء واتبعوا رضوان الله والله ذو فضل عظيم. Really, I'm a jukebox at this point, aren't I?
But let me tell you, this is so nice to have somebody here who can actually bring together not only the Arabic text, but also the background and also the history and also all the stories around it. This is such a welcome change. It's unbelievable. Because normally, I mean, if we have Muslims on the chat, they don't know half this stuff. And so, you know,
really?
And this exactly in the chat also, Islam Faye is doing a great job. Really, you are. This is really fantastic what you are doing at the moment. What you are contributing here is such a welcome change. You don't know how much. I think this is really, really brilliant what you are bringing here to the Gin and Tonic show, really.
If only the Zionists would pay me for my services.
Sorry, no go. Like I said at the beginning, don't go to PayPal and Protein. What is the other one called? Patreon and things like that. Nope, everything here is for free.
Yeah. And because you're a woman, it's proportionate representation as well.
There you go. You see.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
We've almost made the cut. So when Rob comes in, we need another 2 women or something. I don't know how we're going to do that. Okay, so the return favor from Allah and bounty, no harm having touched them, and they pursued the pleasure of Allah, and Allah is the possessor of great bounty. There you go.
Wait, who's talking about here? What do you mean no harm? You just talked about shaheeds. What the fuck?
So they returned. No, they got the favor from Allah and the bounty. So the people who died get to get a huge reward.
He says no harm having touched them.
Yes.
But they were touched with harm. They died.
No, but this is a reward. They're martyrs. They go straight to heaven.
But it says no harm having touched them. I'm pretty sure there was some harm.
There's no harm because you get a huge reward.
I guess. I don't know. It's stupid.
Let's see what
that's poor poetry.
It is. So they returned with grace reward, exactly, and profit from which they traded in the marketplace. Oh, just now this was in the war.
Wait.
It is also said that this means booty, no harm, fighting or defeat touched them in going and returning. What? They followed the good pleasure by accompanying the prophet at the less and Allah by driving the
about Badr now? I don't know what this god was drunk. He was just talking about a different battle.
This was on Uhud. We were just in Uhud.
Yeah, now they're talking about Badr. That's stupid. What? Okay, I'm not even, this is just making me angry. This is such poor poetry. What kind of compilers are you?
Yeah, but Safari is right. We should drop the brackets, but then it becomes totally incomprehensible. Then it doesn't make any more sense. So, sometimes you have to read the brackets for it to make sense. Okay.
Wait, so when it says no harm, when it says no harm having touched them, they're talking about Badr, so obviously. But he just got done talking about Uhud, so it's confusing.
Okay, Rashid Khalifa says, they have deserved God's blessing and grace. No harm ever touches them, for they have attained God's approval, and God possesses infinite grace. So what he is saying is you don't get any harm, even when you die. This is not considered harm. Harm is, I don't know what harm is. Harm is singing,
Harm, no,
dancing, and having sex. This is harm.
so the context for this verse is in reference to a different battle where they had very, very few losses. In Uhud, they lost, like we saw in the other tafsir, they lost like 70 men. But in Badr, the odds were much greater against them. It was 300 against 1,000, and they had very, very few losses. They lost like 10 guys or something, like 13 people. Which is why they say that no harm having touched them, because they had such few losses. But my contention with this verse is that we were talking about a different battle just a couple of seconds ago.
Yes. Yeah. It is confusing. It doesn't make sense. And how the hell do these guys know that now we're talking about Badr again and not Uhud? And
Well,
why
that's
did we
exactly
know
what I'm
that this was?
saying.
But that's what I said several weeks ago about the Tafseers. They're 400 years removed at minimum from the situation. They can't make any more heads or tails of it than you or I can at this moment in time.
Yeah.
As far as trying to understand this is concerned, how many people have tried to make sense? Nobody in 1400 years has been able to make sense of the Quran. Not even Muslims themselves, the scholars, can make sense of it. So 3 people on a Friday night trying to make some sense out of this, we're not going to be any further forward than anybody in the past 1400 years has been. I'm not saying that disrespectfully, but sometimes I think we're looking for something that nobody can find because it's not there.
Yeah, but we came to the
Yeah.
conclusion a couple of years ago that there is no such thing as the Islam or the Muslim, exactly because the Quran is so incredibly vague and ambiguous that it always requires interpretation, and there are so many different ways of interpreting it. That's why you need the scholars, and that's why a Muslim does not follow the Quran or the Hadith or anything but a scholar. They're following the interpretation of something, and they think, aha, this interpretation makes sense for me personally, and that's why I am going along the lines that this guy is telling me. And that's it. That's how you get a Muslim.
People are saying that me singing the verses is bewitching, and that's how people are convincing other people to join Islam.
Oh, there you go. So this is like the sirens, the old Greek sirens.
I guess
okay,
so.
convert
But
some more, Faye.
I did want to add, if I was still a Muslim, I wouldn't be able to come into a public forum and recite because my voice would be aura because I'm a woman. So if there was ever
it's
a
true.
forum,
No, but there's a guy in, I forgot his name now, in the UK, there's a guy in Malaysia, there's a guy in, no, not in Indonesia, somewhere. They are now allowing female imams. And they're allowing a female to enter the mosque through the front door.
oh, great strides have been made in the Muslim world.
What is this guy? I mean, I love this guy so much. Somebody actually said that I am him because apparently his voice is similar to mine. It's a Dr. Taj. Dr. Taj something. I forgot his name.
You need to play a clip at some point. This is your doppelganger.
Well, it doesn't look like me, but I don't think he's got my voice at all. But some people said, yeah, that this is actually me because I am the one who is enticing Muslims to be heretics. Because he's a heretic, because he is allowing women now to enter through the front door, and a man who is behind a woman looking at a woman's bottom while she is praying can no longer concentrate on the rakats, but he's only staring at the buttocks in amazement.
Well, she should, according to the hadith, she shouldn't be in front of him anyway, because a woman and a donkey and a dog shouldn't be in front of a man when he's praying.
Exactly,
anyway.
And this is why Dr. Taj is the heretic, because he's allowing this now, because he says, according to Allah, men, and it says so in the Quran actually, in the eyes of the Lord, men and women are created equally. Oh, goodness gracious, no.
I just have to say, how little is your faith that someone's ask can just distract you that much while you're praying to God?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your faith must be fucking tiny, is all I'm saying.
I don't think it's that fair. I think it's one thing of many things where the rhetoric against women is being built up slowly and incrementally. So he's got an agenda,
Yeah.
but he can't use it straight away. But he has to do it incrementally, and this is just one of those. It's almost like the verses start off subtle, but as he gains more traction and influence, the verses and ours get more harsher and harder against women. First of all, he's got to wait for Khadija to die. After Khadija dies, then it sort of like ramps up.
Yeah, I don't think he could have done all that shit if Khadija was still alive.
Well, I did a show was it last year or the year before, where I actually put it forward that Islam is based on Khadija, not Muhammad. Khadija is the first and true prophet of Islam. He knew nothing of what was going on when he got his first sort of like experiences in the cave. She knew everything. So how on earth could God have picked a prophet that knew nothing, but she knew everything? Where on earth did she get the knowledge from of what was going on to Muhammad in the cave, whereas he knew nothing? Khadija is the woman that set up Islam, and the irony is that a religion that backdated women into a primitive time, where, if you want to use the analogous to men treating women like they were cavemen, is the woman that has imprisoned women for 1400 years. The irony that the most influential and rich woman has sort of like impoverished 1400 years of other women born into the religion that she set up.
Now, Beach just gave a link to a call for prayer by female singer May Kamal. And
I thought she was going to link the one by Sinead O'Connor, because that one's hysterical.
that was it. Anyway, so if you want to go, then listen to it later. Don't everybody go there now. Don't leave us now alone. Go and look at this later. The funniest thing is the first comment is beautiful interpretation. From the comments, I can see lots of men are offended by this. Women cannot do this. Women cannot do that. Have also seen ridiculous things like, if there is a screen, then they can sing in public and other stuff. It is a shame that a culture that gave so much to humanity has been distorted and become a vehicle for imbecility and oppression. Muslims were a lot more progressive 900 years ago. So sad. So this is quite funny.
But Islam does not allow for progressivism.
No, it doesn't.
So those people that were progressive weren't Muslim.
Unfortunately. Okay, let's go to 3175.
Okay. إنما ذلكم الشيطان يخوف أولياء فلا تخافوهم وخافون إن كنتم مؤمنين.
That is only Satan who frightens you of his supporters. So fear them not, but fear me if you are believers. Fuck. And Yusuf Ali says, it is only the evil one that suggests to you the fear of his votaries. Be not afraid of them, but fear me if you have faith. I think this is my favorite sentence in the Quran from now on. It's not Satan who frightens you, it's me.
Yeah, and it's not even a reverential fear that he's asking, it's a morbid fear. It's kind of like the fear
is, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, exactly. It is only the devil, the one who is scaring you with ways of the devil. Allah called him a devil because he was a follower of Satan. Excuse me? Satan is the devil. Allah called him a devil because he was a follower of Satan. This is Ibn Masud. Okay. And his whisperings, in other words, Ibn Masud's, would make men fear his partisans. He says he makes you fear his partisans, the unbelievers, fear them not. And you sort of, if you say, no, I don't know what this is. If you believe in his bringing back the dead. Okay, I think I'll skip Ibn Abbas from now on.
I don't know. Yeah, Ibn Abbas is kind of messed up. But when the Quran refers to shaitan, it could be in direct reference to Iblis, which is like the Quranic version of Lucifer, or just an evil jinn. That's it.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, but here it actually makes sense. It is the evil one that you fear, but don't worry, you should fear me more than you fear Satan, if you have faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. Thinking clearly. Allah is saying he is scarier than Satan. Exactly. Wow.
And
Wow, this is amazing.
he uses the word for fear as well. It's not like an archaic term. He literally uses khafuna, so it's literally fear.
What
Yes,
Thunderous was just saying, yeah.
the morbid.
Wow.
Yeah.
3175. I wish Rob was here because he made a note of all interesting sentences as a kind of a repository. This is something that he should actually, put into his collection, because I need to remember this somehow. 3175 is really, really terrible. Don't be afraid of Satan, be afraid of God, because he's going to punish you worse than any Satan can. And as long as you have faith, you're okay. But if you don't, oh my goodness, you're in deep shit. Wow. Okay. Crazy stuff. Yeah.
Okay. ولا يحزنك الذين يسارعون في الكفر إنهم لن يضروا الله شيئا يريدون الله ألا يجعل لهم خطا في الآخرة ولهم عذاب عظيم.
Sahih International says what you have
now.
just... Sorry?
You're just getting into the scary verses now.
Oh, okay. Because Sahih International says what you've just been singing says, and do not be grieved by those who hasten into disbelief. Indeed, they will never harm Allah at all. Allah intends that he should give them no share in the hereafter, and for them is a great punishment. I don't know, really, this when I when I see the words and I listen to myself, I somehow have the picture of Trump in front of me. He's the kind that will say things like that. I have the best words. Nobody has words like I have only the best words. And if you are with me, then you're okay. But if you're not, then you're in deep shit. This is exactly what Trump would say. It's amazing. So Yusuf Ali says, let not those grieve who rush headlong into unbelief, not the least harm will they do to Allah. Allah's plan is that he will give them no portion in the hereafter, but a severe punishment. Wow.
Can I guess the context for this verse before you go to the Tafseer?
Okay.
I don't know if this is correct, but I think it is. This is in reference to Muhammad's uncle Abu Talib, who supported him throughout his prophethood until he died, but he didn't die a Muslim, and Allah is telling him not to grieve for him because he didn't die as a Muslim.
Oh, that's interesting, but it's possible, yes. Then Allah mentioned how the hypocrites hastened to ally themselves with the Jews. Oops, sorry.
Okay.
Muhammad, or saddened you, who hastened for hastening hypocrites as the Jews. This is Allah's will. And this is not Abu Talib. Let them not grieve. Made him grieve, an alter fourth form, that vie with one another in unbelief, succumbing to it promptly by supporting it, namely the Meccans or the hypocrites. In other words, do not be concerned for their unbelief. They will not hurt God at all. No, if you don't believe God exists, you can't hurt, you dumb idiot. God desired not to assign... No, that's it. Is there anybody else? Let them not grieve, they will not hurt you. No, this is just repeating it.
Oh, man. I thought I had that one as well.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Different one, but here it's those. So don't be sorry for those non-believers.
Yeah.
Or is it who hasten into disbelief? Is this those who leave Islam?
No, I don't think that was a thing back then, really. It's more to do with the people who kept insisting on their disbelief, so the Quraysh and the Meccans.
So it's not who hasten into or rush headlong. It's just those who just continue or insist on being non-believers. Okay, they can't harm
I
Allah.
think
No, of
that's
course
just
they can't.
I think that's just poetry who hasten into disbelief. It's just bad poetry.
Okay. So Allah intends Muhammad was orange, but wore brown face like Trudeau. Yes. Okay. Allah, sorry, was this, if you could provide reference that would make the case strong, maybe Tafseer will help. Okay, yeah, we did that. Allah
Somebody
intends that
needs
he
to
should
do
give
a
them.
video. Somebody needs to do a video like reciting hadiths, but in Donald Trump's voice, like impersonating Donald Trump reading hadiths.
I could probably do it.
You
yourself,
need to dip. Oh no,
actually.
actually, I can't do it.
Yeah. I can probably do
I
it.
don't know. I can't do impressions.
And there are people who are so good. I admire people like Trevor Noah. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. There's a video of Trevor doing impressions, how he can switch. And if you, I mean, I've tried this. I've looked away, not to look at his face, and I swear I could see Obama in front of my eyes. The way that he was pronouncing it, how he was catching exactly the intonation, it sounds exactly like Obama. And then he has the whole dialogue between Obama and Madiba. What's Madiba's name? Rob, where are you? Mandela. Nelson Mandela. So he does a whole dialogue between Mandela and Obama, switching between the two voices. It's precious, really. It's fantastic how he does it.
I gotta see that.
So he would be able to do that because he can do Trump. He says, I don't know what I'm going to do after Trump. I'm going to be unemployed because it's so nice to be able to do Trump. I can't do anyone else. What happens if it's, this woman's name? If she's going to be president, I can't do her. I'm going to be
Hillary?
unemployed. No. She's a black woman.
Michelle?
No. She's now one of the contenders. She's brilliant. I love her. She's so calm. She used to be a prosecutor. I mean, there's a couple of things she did wrong. Okay, but she's really clued up. She's really I don't know. I love her, but I forgot her name. Sakara?
I don't know.
Anyway, she's one of the contenders now in the Democrats. So anyway, then he says he's unemployed because then they can't do this. Being South African himself, no, not really. No, the thing is, it's the intonation. Kamala Harris, there you go. Thank you, Dawn of Head. You're as Kamala Harris. That is the woman that I'm thinking of because I think she's great. She's got her head screwed on the right way. She's really great. She's not perfect, okay, but she's one of the best. And he said if she becomes president, he's going to be unemployed because he can't do her. So there you go. But it's not an advantage being South African to do Mandela. No, he can also do Obama. He can do, I mean, it's just about anybody. It doesn't matter whether he does a Spanish guy or a Mexican guy. He does Chinese guys. He does, this guy is absolutely phenomenal what he does. Anyway, we're talking about Muhammad. Those who hasten it, indeed, they will never harm Allah. So they will never harm Allah. No, obviously not. So Allah intends that he should give them no share in the hereafter. So in other words, this Allah is quite happy that he has created, not a fan of Kamala. Okay, I am sorry. Allah intends that he should not. So Allah is quite happy to create people who do not believe what he tells them to believe, who's quite happy to create people knowing full well they will not do what he tells them to do. And the only thing that he's going to tell them is, no, you're not going to get into my heaven. You're going to go to hell. That's it.
Yep.
No logic there. And all he has to say for himself, actually, is that be afraid of me, because if you don't, there's going to be a great punishment. And
It's
watch out
just-
for the words
he's
great
just-
reward and great punishment.
It's just Joffrey. He's just a King Joffrey. That's all he is. He's just a kid. He's a blonde little shit that sits on the Iron Throne, just beheads everyone.
And it's like stalking everybody and threatens and throwing around stupid. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, 177. Ding dong.
Sorry, I got a cough. Give me a second.
I just hope I'm not abusing you too much with this. But you said you're having fun, so go and have as much fun as you want.
I'm surprised that I remember this much Arabic. إن الذين اشتروا okay, I don't know what the fuck that word is. إن الذين اشتروا الكفر بالإيمان لن يضروا الله شيئا ولهم عذاب أليم. Yeah,
I think the word you purchase or what? Because he says, indeed, those who purchase disbelief. I don't know. Where can you buy disbelief? I've never seen it. I'll have to check on Amazon later. How much is disbelief? In exchange for faith.
I think one has to think about what Rob said several months ago when keep the rhyming going. He's using words to keep the rhyming going. Purchase is a transaction. You take one thing and you exchange it for something else. That's how you make a purchase, whether it's with money, physical money, or whether it's with gold or any kind of commodity. A transaction is taking place between two mutual parties. I don't understand why the word purchase is there. I actually highlighted it earlier, trying to get the background. The only conclusion I can draw from that is to keep the rhyming going, he's having to use the word purchase.
I'm sure it's in reference to something. I would just put it down to bad poetry again.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. But to keep the poetry going, he's having to use the word, because you can't purchase bad faith. You either have bad faith or you don't. It's not something you go and buy. You can't even inherit it. You know, you either have it based on the realities that are before you. You either have faith or you don't have faith. That's how faith works.
Those who purchase disbelief in exchange doesn't exist. So purchase disbelief for faith. So in other words, you substitute faith with disbelief. In other words, faith with honesty. Okay. Never will they harm Allah at all. No, you can't, because he doesn't exist. And for them is a painful punishment. How can you do that? Those who purchase unbelief at the price of faith, not the least harm will they do to Allah, but they will have a grievous punishment. Okay, yes, if you're an idiot, you will believe this. But if you have two functioning brain cells, you will immediately see that there is a mistake. There's a problem here. That you can't, if you disbelieve, you don't believe that there's Allah exists, then you can't expect any kind of punishment from them.
What does the Tafseer say?
Jalalain say those who purchase unbelief at the price of faith, that is taking it in place of it, they will not hurt God at all with their unbelief, and there awaits them a pay. The same thing.
They just rewrote the verse.
Yes.
Lazy.
Yes, exactly.
They didn't know what to say there either. That's another thing. I mean, they're looking at it.
Purchase with the price of they will not hurt. The same thing. Yeah, this is just a rewriting of the sense.
See,
because you can't do anything with this.
I would have thought that this was in reference to people who left Islam for money, but apparently
no, it's a different sentence.
Yeah, apparently
this was
in
chapter 2 we had this.
This is just a dumb verse.
It is.
Why would you put the word purchase there? This is stupid. What is this? I'm so confused.
Well, you can talk it up. Okay, you can say, well, if you go and you prefer to take your faith and then you exchange it, whether you purchase it, there's no money involved here, like what Thunderous was just saying. You go for disbelief. In other words, if you exchange your wonderful faith then
See,
please, just because you don't want to do this, you refuse to see the signs of Allah, you are not damaging Allah, because He's tried everything to get to you. He's tried everything to make you comfortable and to give you sustenance and everything, and you're just being ungrateful.
Well, see, like, my problem isn't with the second. Well, I have a problem with the second part of the verse, but the main problem that I have is why they decided to use, they being Muhammad, decided to use the word purchase instead of trade, because he's made disbelief, like, from a linguistic point of view, he's made disbelief seem more appealing than belief by using the word purchase.
But we want us to bear in mind as well, we're in the 22nd century. We're sort of 1400 years away from the mentality, mindset, and education that the nomads would have had. The very people that Muhammad would be appealing to. So to us, it sounds like a load of gobbledygook and gibberish. But to the nomads of Saudi Arabia at this moment in time, this would have sounded like religion, given what knowledge they had.
Okay, here they use exchange.
Or like layashtaru or ishtar. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. Ishtara would be such a much stronger word, is all I'm saying, than purchase.
Yeah. Exchange. So exchange. Okay, so you have varying interpretations of the word.
Right.
And then it makes more sense. I agree with you. If this, but even then, faith doesn't make sense. Even if those who exchange disbelief and faith, never will they harm Allah at all. It's illogical. The illogical portion remains. And of them is a painful punishment is a non sequitur, because you cannot have a punishment if there's a disbelief in Allah, because Allah doesn't exist. So who's going to punish you?
I don't know.
So, it doesn't really matter what word you take here. It's still a useless sentence.
It is a useless sentence.
But not to the 7th century nomads, though. Those are the audience. We're trying to apply it as if it applies to us today, or as if though it is technically a book for all time, so it should be appealing to us.
Well, no, but like you can apply this. Like, imagine talking to someone who believed in idols back in the day and telling them that they will never harm Allah with their disbelief. Okay. Okay. Like, they don't believe in that.
Yeah, but this is the typical, my God's dick is bigger than your God's dick.
That's exactly what it is. It's not for the benefit of the disbelievers. This is literally just a pissing contest on behalf of the Muslims.
Hence why it doesn't make sense to us, because we're not idolaters, but it would have made perfect sense in the 7th century, because it sounded like religion to them. And it appealed to them because that's exactly what his customer base was.
And the point is, I'm sure that you will get I'm 100% sure, if you go to Bangladesh, if you go to Pakistan, or you go somewhere, Indonesia, and you give this to some of the Muslims there, they will tell you this sentence is profound. Yeah. Because it tells you the power of God, that you cannot harm God, and if you are too stupid to see the the signs that He is giving to you, well, then this is the test. You have failed the test, and then you can't complain that you get the painful punishment, because they don't see the lectural, the logical structure in this.
Honestly, this is just a throwaway line. If you took this out of the Quran, I doubt that anyone but someone who actually knew the Quran from front to back would notice.
Yeah,
it's such a throwaway. He's already said this as well.
Of course, we've seen all these sentences a couple of times.
ولا يحسبن الذين كفروا أنما نملي لهم خير لأنفسهم إنما نملي لهم ليزدادوا إثما ولهم عذاب مهين. Same shit again.
Exactly. Sahih International, and let not those who disbelieve think that we extend their time, it is better for them. We only extend it for them so that they may increase in sin. And for them, it's a humiliating punishment.
You're a shit god. You just say you're a shit god and move on.
Let not unbelievers think that our respite to them is good for themselves. We grant them respite that they may grow in their iniquity, but they will have a shameful punishment. That's it. That's all you can do. This is all threats. And then people
Honestly.
come to me and say, yeah, but how come you don't accept this? This is why I don't accept it. It doesn't make sense. No, this is just the same thing, just in green. Okay.
He's basically saying,
How do you
I've let
how,
him live longer
how
so he can sin more. You would think that God doesn't want human beings to sin. He wants them to be, you know, rescued and repatriated to his love or his grace or whatever verbatim you want to use.
The logic here is that the longer your life, the more you sin. So the longer your life, then the more likely you're going to go to hell. So in other words, this is the deficiency of the creation.
Absolutely. That's my point.
deficiency? How do you bow to a God that, you know, admits that he just vindictively makes you live longer so that you'll sin more and he can punish you for longer?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. It's like he thrives on it, he relishes it. And when you consider that 1/4 of the Quran is Allah ranting about hell, he's sadistic. You know, going back to Joffrey Baratheon, I think, you know, if you watch Game of Thrones, the conclusion you will draw from him, you know, he's a sadist. You know,
he's exactly Joffrey Baratheon. He's an incestuous blonde sitting on an iron throne. Okay, like he is.
Faye, you have a dirty mind.
You haven't seen Game of Thrones. That's not my fault.
No, I haven't. Oh shit. Okay. Oh, I forgot what I wanted to say. All right. Yeah, because you completely threw me off here. Oh no, sorry, I got it back. Oh no, you can't throw me off hammer. Remember in the beginning what I said, and this is exactly the point. If you, and I'm going to repeat it, if you read the Quran yourself, it makes you an atheist. But if you have somebody else read it to you, it makes sense and you become a Muslim. This is exactly this thing. This is if you actually read it, and I maintain 99% of Muslims have not read the Quran, because if they read something like this, they will either skip over this, or if somebody asks them, just explain to me what this says, they will say, and that's it. And they have to start doubting, because there is nothing else that you can do with it. No God would go and claim such nonsensical sentences for itself and say, I'm a God, I wrote this. That's impossible.
I don't know where Allah gets off by claiming to be the most merciful when he literally says that it extends people's life so they can commit sins and he can humiliate them in the afterlife.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the biggest contradiction in the Quran, if you ask me. The fact that we have to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim in front of every fucking surah, but in like you said, in the like a third of the Quran is just Allah talking about hellfire and what he's gonna do to us in there.
Okay, next. But actually, yes, there should be. I should make a compilation, the best of Quran, and then these sentences should be in there.
I think it was some Islam Safari. You might want to put a comment inside Islam where Yasser Qadi, I'm in agreement too, where he's bringing these points out, so the conflict of the Quran, if you like, the cognitive dissidence that a Muslim goes through trying to understand this stuff. He's on the verge of leaving Islam, and I think there's an end game there, and he's leading towards that, or he's giving the excuses now as to why he's going to walk away. I can't see how anybody with any form of intelligence can look at this. We've got 3 people here tonight, 2 from a Muslim background, 1 from, an external background, but clearly 3 intelligent people here with different experiences. And between the 3 of us, can I make heads or tails of a book made clear, a book easy to understand, a book of guidance?
Without any doubt.
Yep.
Without any doubt.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And
all right, shall we do one more?
And one of them's an Arabic speaker, so you can't turn around and say, well, you haven't read it in Arabic. You can't even throw that at the audience, at the panel tonight. Which I just want to say before.
If we have learned anything from my singing today, it's that even Arabic speakers are fucking stumped.
Listen, wait. With the way that Islam is doing, the way Islam is going at the moment, if you went on X Factor, you'd have to win. Otherwise, I would turn around and say the panel were Islamophobic. So you've got a bit of money waiting there if you want to become popular.
Maybe I should try my hand. I don't know. I feel like the crowd, like the Muslim crowd, would hate me though. She's an ex-Muslim. She's using our Quran to win
Against
X.
us, yeah. She's using our book against us. How's that possible? Well, it's your stupid God who wrote it. I mean, how can you have a God writing this and then still claiming I'm the God who wrote this and I'm a God? No, come on, please. Come on, it must be obvious. Please, people.
All right, you want me to? Is this the last verse?
Yes, for today. Is that okay?
Yeah. ما كان الله ليذر المؤمنين على ما أنتم عليه حتى يميز الخبيث من الطيب وما كان الله ليطلعكم على الغيب ولكن الله يجتبي من رسله من يشاء فأمنوا بالله ورسوله. I don't know if it's فآمنوا I don't know. وإن تؤمنوا وتتقوا فلكم أجر عظيم.
You have to admit you were not a good Muslim, Faye, really. If this is how your brain was reciting the Quran, how you were talking to God, oh shit, no wonder you left. Okay, what did you just sing to us? So he says, you said Allah would not leave the believers in that you are in until he separates the evil from the good, nor would Allah reveal to you the unseen. But Allah chooses of his messengers whom he wills. So believe in Allah and his messengers. And if you believe and fear him, then for you is a great reward. I'm sorry, I can't. This is such ridiculous. Yusuf Ali says, Allah will not leave the believers in the state in which you are now until he separates what is evil from the good, nor will he disclose to you the secrets of the unseen. But he chooses of his messengers whom he pleases. So believe in Allah and his messengers. And if you believe to do right, you have a reward without measure.
He literally gave you reasons why you shouldn't believe in him. And then he's like, so you should believe in me. Like, it's so stupid.
It is. Oh, yes. Okay, sorry, Faye, you need to be slapped.
Huh?
Hey, what?
Sorry?
You were only half a Muslim. If she gets a word wrong, she should be slapped because that is better than hell.
Oh, I'll be Husseining all the way to sleep today. Don't worry about me.
And Dawn of Head says, I volunteer. So you've got a volunteer who's going to slap you silly today if you get something wrong. Allah would not. Okay, let me go through the Yusuf Ali. Okay, let's do this. Let's try and be serious. Last sentence for today. Allah will not leave the believers in the state in which. Okay, I don't understand the grammar. Allah will not leave the believers. So he's talking to the believers. No, he's talking to somebody else and says, in general, I will not leave the believers in the state in which you are now. So he is talking to somebody specific who is in a specific state and says, you are in a specific state, and I will not leave the believers in the state that you are in until I separate what is good from bad. But I will not tell you what you can't see. Okay. And then he says, now forget all. Now I'm going to tell you that I choose my messengers how I please. I do what I want. So believe me and my messengers. I chose how I please. And if you believe and do whatever I tell you to do, I'm going to reward you mightily when you're dead. When you're dead. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The elements I see here is Allah, believers, the state in which you are, and evil and good. Now, how do you put those
All
together?
right, wait. So, can we look at the tafsir to find out what the state is? What is the state he's talking about? Has he gone back to Uhud?
Let's go back to Jalalain's first. It is not God's purpose to leave the believers in the state in which you, O people, are. He's making it even worse. Okay, they think that the believers and the people are the same. Because the Jalalains, okay, this is brothers, okay, we have to, it's always plural. They say that it's not
I
the
think he.
purpose to abandon the believers in which
Yeah.
you, the people, are. You are the believers.
Yeah. No, it does say on the day of Uhud there. So I think this is what I think that's the state they're referring to. So it's in the state of loss. So they lost on the day of Uhud.
Yes, but the believers and the people are, where's the difference?
Okay, so it says it is not God's purpose to abandon the believers in the state in which you, O people, are. So the state that he's talking about is the day that they lost. So he's referring to the people, but he's referring to the believers as O people. I don't know
Yeah, but
why
hang
they
on.
decided to do that.
Yeah, but the ones who are lost are the ones who lost faith.
I don't know.
Because they
Wait,
ran
where does
away and they went against the orders.
No, just because they ran away doesn't mean they lost. I don't know. Where does it say the lost ones? It says to leave or to abandon. Um, he also talks about the hypocrites. I don't know, I'm confused.
He separates the evil one, the hypocrite,
Yeah,
because the evils are always the hypocrites, from the good, the believer. So the evil one is the hypocrite and the good is the believer through the
yeah,
obligations that will reveal. He did this. So as an example, he did this on the
yeah,
day of Uhud, where it was
right,
not God's purpose to apprise you of the unseen. So in other words, he didn't give you any reasons why you should do this, so that you could
right.
recognize the hypocrites before the distinguishing. But God chooses, he selects, and then he brings the messengers who will then teach you the unseen in the way that he sees fit, and then you have the choice of whether you want to believe or not. So what I strongly recommend you do, you believe in God and his messengers, and if you do and you guard against hypocrisy, then you're going to get some nice stuff.
Still a shit verse. You know how easily he could have explained that without being this fucking
Yes,
deceptive?
anyone could improve the Quran. This is the big fact.
A 5-year-old could have written that better. What the hell was that?
The thing is, you see as well, you've got to bear in mind the hadith that teaches 123,999 prophets went before Muhammad, irrespective
Yeah,
of what your religious views are. When you consider the holy books that are written, or the alleged holy books that are written beforehand, you've got to assume that those books were revealed by one of these 123,999 prophets that went before Muhammad did. Not one book, irrespective of its religious connotation, sounds like anything in this book, as far as
no.
your pattern is concerned. And I don't quite understand that either. How a Muslim could conclude that this is a holy book just on the point of linguistics. It doesn't sound like anything that's ever been revealed before. If you look at the
No.
Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita, or obviously I'm going to say the Bible, the Hebrew scriptures or the Greek scriptures, or even the Talmud, because that's considered holy by Orthodox Jews. So nothing sounds like this. The only thing that sounds like this are the stories that have been stolen by Muhammad that have ended up into the Quran.
You know what? When people used to say, like, how could the Quran have come from an illiterate man? I mean, his illiteracy is really, really coming through with these verses. Like, the poor poeticism and the lack of explanation in all of these verses, it's so coming through. I don't know how the Mufassirs, or the people who wrote the Tafseers, even began to dissect this well.
They had no choice, though. If you come from the Muslim mindset, just as I do, they had no choice. They were probably born in the background, brought up in the background, and it was all a case of what do they do in this situation. They may have been people influenced, so they could well have used the writing of the Tafseers as a momentum to gain their own sort of influence in the communities they are therein. Very much like some people become religious leaders purely for the £40,000 a year wage that they get, the salary and the house and the gardening and the maid.
I'm sure, but as someone who studied literature before, like English literature, this just feels very like, oh, I'm just gonna make up some bullshit and then back it up with some hadith to make it sound like this is what it was supposed to be. It doesn't sound as though like the actual text is sound enough to explain itself, as many Muslims would claim.
But they've got no choice when you're born in that religious mindset, though. They have no choice to try and.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't quite understand it either. That's why I'm not Muslim, because I never understood it. That's why you're not Muslim.
Yeah.
So yet we've both tried it though, and we can't get our head around it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, what remains is the hadith of the week. One thing I would like to do, though, is, Faye, you've made a big impression here on people. Not just me. I mean, with me, it's obvious, but also on the chat, people in the chat, everybody appreciates a huge, like the contribution you've made, a huge amount, what you've done, what you are bringing here. Please, if you can stay, please, if you can come back, please, if you can be here more regularly, if you're not doing anything on a Friday evening. And it's I don't know if I think you've read some of the comments that you must have seen, that a lot of people have said, can you make Faye a regular? Can you bring Faye? Because what you are doing is, number one, you have the background knowledge. Number two, you can, okay, it's an ability. You can recite this in Arabic, which makes a huge impression on Muslims, of course. But what I appreciate the most is that you have your head screwed on the right way, that you have the background knowledge. You have much more knowledge than I have, really. Because I pride myself that I've read a lot of the scholars. I've read a lot of the old stuff, Goldsea and people like that, Wanborough and so on. The classical sort of non-Muslim scholars. But what you bring is the background and the Muslim empathy, the feeling for the whole thing, which is something that I lack totally, and Thunderers also cannot have. So this is something, so I'm not trying to compliment you here. I'm just, stating some facts here, which is why I would love you to come back, and I don't think everybody else would too. So if you could do it, and of course you need to be spanked. So Doorknob Head is still saying you can get this if you want. But really, if you would be, more of a regular, if you could do that on a Friday, that would be brilliant. I mean, obviously, if you can't, you can't. That's just it.
I would love to. And normally Fridays, I'll have to see if I can make room for them every single week, but I can certainly come, some weeks.
That would
maybe
be
we
super.
Can have a.
Even though I can just offer you moral whatever, but not physical money or anything like that, because we don't do that.
No,
it's just a volunteering job.
I was joking.
Sometimes demanding, but it's greatly satisfying if people, and please, people, show your gratefulness by giving us a huge amount of thumbs up today. Everybody go to the thumbs up button to show that how much you appreciated what Faye, the singing that Faye did for you. At least it wasn't like, I always think that hijab does more of a rap, where you bring more the singing element. Okay.
The poor joke on your part.
I try, yeah. I will now recite something too, and that is the hadith of the week. Where
I'm gonna tweet that.
What?
I'm gonna tweet that. Hijab brings more of a rap.
Have you heard him?
No, I thought you meant like the hijab, like the actual hijab.
No, I'm talking about Muhammad hijab. Actually, thinking clearly just made a brilliant suggestion. Bring Kenny on to talk to Faye. You would have such fun. You would have such fun. He's the village idiot, okay? And he wrote a book. He brought out a book. I don't know whether he actually wrote it. I'm reading it at the moment, and there are passages where I strongly doubt that he actually wrote them. But anyway, he's really obtuse, right? He's amazingly like full of himself, and he doesn't even know the Quran. He doesn't understand Islam, and he demands respect. And this is exactly the kind of person that you would love to kill. This is exactly your up your alley.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can arrange that then at some
No,
point.
I don't know if I will handle it, because he used to come on here and it just got too much, really, because he's really too stupid. There's so much. It's too much it was too much for my nerves to have him here. To really, I thought to myself, why do I need to flagellate myself, by listening to this guy, really? Anyway, we're dreaming of a black woman, okay? So, narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet said, I saw in a dream a black woman with unkempt hair going out of Medina and settling at Mahyaz. Al-Jufa interpreted that as a symbol of epidemic of Al-Madinah being transferred to that place. What?
Muhammad liked metaphors a lot. He would imagine things as people a lot.
Yes, but I don't understand the black woman with unkempt hair going out of Al-Madinah and settling at Maja.
I don't know.
Okay, this I don't know. And
where's this from?
This is from Al-Jufa, volume 9, number 161.
And what's the gradation?
Doesn't say here.
Okay. It's not from a typically authentic source, so I'm not sure.
Okay, let me take one. Let me take a more traditional one. You're right. Yeah. Okay. Narrated Ibn Abbas, and this is from volume 2, book 26, number 665 from Bukhari. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet said, as if I'm looking at him, a black person with thin legs plucking the stones of the Kaaba one after the other.
Yep.
So this one I know. The first one I've never heard of, with the black woman. I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one before. It might just be another like a racial thing. He was quite racist, even though a lot of people say, "Oh no, he couldn't have been," but he was quite racist. He was quite colorist.
Okay, let's take the other one. I've just found another one. This is volume 6, book 6435. Muhammad also owned black slaves. Okay, so Muhammad's found a black slave of Allah's apostle was sitting on the first step. So Muhammad had black slaves as well. So should I go for another example? Is Ibn Malik said Allah's apostle was on a journey and he had a black slave called Anjasha, and he was driving the camels very fast, and there were women riding on those camels. Allah's apostle said, "Why haka? May Allah be merciful to you." Or Anjasha, drive slowly the camels with the glass vessels. In other words, and this is exactly what you say. The glass vessels in this case are the women.
Wait. Did they translate Wayhaka as Allah have mercy on you?
Wayhaka? No, Wayhaka means go slow.
Wayhaka means like it's not a literal translation, but it's almost like a curse. Like, why are you doing that kind of thing?
Could be. They just put in brackets, may Allah be merciful to you, may merciful to you. In other words, he's swearing at him at the same time, and then say, drive slowly the camels with the glass vessels with the women.
To say that Wayhaka means Allah have mercy on you is extremely generous, because Wayhak is like curse you, like like stop.
Okay. All right, maybe they didn't want this. And I don't have the original one here, so can I find this USC college? No, we're not going to go on there now. So this was a whole sequence now of slaves which were black in the possession of Muhammad. And we're going to have a couple more next week.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, and others, thank you very much. That was the Friday Gin and Tonic show. I hope you've hammered the up button. Oh, there's not a single down button this week. That's the first time, I think. No, normally we always have a couple of people who, even before the show starts, they already give us the thumbs down. So we had thumbs up. Faye, thank you very much. Thunderous, as usual, thank you for your input there. Brilliant stuff, because Thunderous is our history buff. Okay, he knows all the background, where everything comes from, where it's located from, which Sumerian tribe everything stems from, and things like that.
Oh, great.
So it's always great to have somebody here who has all this background, who knows where all this stuff is coming from, like, because he knows all the Jewish background, where they took the stuff from, and that's brilliant.
Awesome.
I think yes, because everybody comes from a different angle, so it's kind of like Islam is being shot down, if you like, from various angles. It's not one repeated fashion or repeated prescription all the time. It's from different angles, historically, spiritually, morally, numerically,
historically, chronologically.
I think, what was it, the illustration I used a couple of weeks ago? It's like Russian roulette, and Islam has got 6 bullets: morality, history, science, and there's no empty chamber in Russian roulette for Islam.
No.
I should join some other shows and promote your show. No, come on, people. We've already had this. Muslims are so shit scared of the Gin and Tonic show, because they know they can't get away with their bullshit here. Because they know, I mean, come on, we all know that Muslims love debating those who don't have a clue about Islam. But as soon as somebody has, some sort of background in Islam, they don't want this anymore. They're scared because they can't win. It's automatically a lose situation. They will look ridiculous, and they know it. And that's why they avoid the Gin and Tonic show like the plague.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, guys,
But
see you next week.
I think some people might be correct that they came to the show and they heard me reading the Quran. They were like, "Oh, this must not have been as bad as we thought it was," and just left. Like they forgot to download.
Yeah, a big shout out to Islam Safari and Thinking Clearly too, two of our regular commenters on it, and Doorknob Head as well, and Beach Bryce. Thank you very much, and Faye
and Simon James, and come on.
Yeah.
Now you put your foot in it. Now you need to go through the wall.
sorry, Simon James, you too, guys. But Faye, can I say it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, and you bring a much needed dynamic.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you guys
are. If anybody else wants to join next week, you're welcome to do so. Remember, in 2 weeks, Thunderous is going to give us some input here on the Gog and Magog. This, I forgot to say in the beginning, you can either join us live, you can go look at the archive on YouTube, or you can even join the panel if you come during the show and you leave the comment in the chat to say, listen, I want to input, then we'll contact you on Facebook and get you on the show. See you next week.
Are you going to talk about Genghis Khan and Alexander the Great?
No, I'm not going to do that because there's no answer. Islam doesn't. I'll bring it all out in 2 weeks' time. I don't want to spoil it, kind of thing. But I've actually, I've actually had to bring it forward sooner than I wanted to, merely because Yasser Qadi commented on it last week, and 2 other channels have already commented on it. I used Dhul Qarnayn and that whole encounter, and I'm not even going to touch the sunsets in the muddy pool. That's my kryptonite for Islam.
Yep.
And I'm going to, before you give everything away, guys, see you next week. Cheerio, bye. We can still continue on here and still chat